Here you go.
I'm gonna move.
Don't hit the wire.
Momentous moment in our marriage, honey.
Shoots it through the lid of the Star Bat. You guys okay? It was a hard fall. Get yourself the Black Hawk. Available exclusively at Target. Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Chasing 518. This week, we got a lot of work to do. Got to get a truss on the front axle, got to do a shackle flip in the rear, got to finally finish the rear window on the tailgate, new weather stripping. Things are happening. Let's get started. So what I think I'm gonna do is the factory shackle setup on all these Fords is what's called a tension shackle. As the spring comes up and gets longer, this shackle comes up. So it's trying to pull away from the hanger, so it's in tension. So a cheap way to get some lift, and sometimes it helps with articulation, is to do a shackle flip. So cut this hanger off, flip it over, and putting this point up here and then putting the spring below it, and call that a shackle flip. So I'm gonna see if I can bust all this stuff loose, lower the axle out of my way, maybe get to cutting some rivets. All right, lighting's pretty bad. Maybe I'll throw a light on the ground so you guys can see and start knocking some bolts out. I'm gonna jack up the rear end, get it kind of mocked up a little bit, see where I think they should go. This is one of the hard part about leaf springs is I can't compress it until I mount it, and it won't become its extended length into the spring's gonna get closer to me as it compresses and gets flat. And I need to set the shackle angle at right height, but I can't compress it till I attach the hanger. So a little bit, kind of take a guess, might have to tack it, load the truck, see where it ends up. I'm just gonna do some calculating. I'll bring you guys back when I've got something to show you. From these two bolts, if you drew a straight line through them, at right height, I'm looking for like a 45. Just tacked each bracket. Now I can put some weight into the suspension, see what the shackle angle looks like. More than likely I got it wrong and I'll have to cut the tacks and move it front or back, but at least once it's loaded, I'll have an idea of, okay, if I move it half an inch forward or half an inch back, it'll be a better shackle angle. Let's jack it up, see what we get. The physics say that if it was straight up and down at right height, the spring would have to do all the work. The flatter the shackle is, the more it splits the work with the spring. But the big idea is that the spring is its longest when it's dead flat, and these don't have a lot of arc to them at right height, so it's not really going to get much longer than that. So it might come out to here, but it shouldn't ever really be able to get up there and hit the body or anything. And then you need enough backward angle so that when you droop it out, it doesn't get to the point where it can invert, and then when it takes a hit, it actually swings the shackle into the front. I also took a measurement before I took it apart of axle center line to fender lip. So I think I'll measure that right now and see how much lift I got. Okay, so before it was 23¼ inches from here to there. Doesn't matter, I'm gonna do it. That doesn't make sense. Why is it less? Somehow the tape measure says I ended up with negative lift. I don't think I'm gonna set it on the ground, validate that. What I did do though was droop it out, and that is my shackle angle at droop. and that's nowhere near inverting. And it did seem like it was a little bit laid back. You got to keep in mind too, it's empty up there. No bench seat, no, you know, camping gear, ice chest, all that stuff. So I think what I'll do is I'll cut the tacks and I'll move it back, maybe half an inch or an inch. And I might even move it down a little bit too. I'll probably, honestly, it's getting kind of late. I gotta go to work tomorrow. I'll probably just sleep on it. I don't think it's gonna net me the lift I need. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna clean up for the night and come back to this later. See you guys next day off. Gonna pick up the axle this morning from Brandon. He's sandblasting it right now. It's a convenient stop for me on my way home from work. So getting the axle all cleaned up, get it home and start fitting up that truss and getting it welded on. Just got home with the axle, and of course there's another box on the porch. Pretty sure this is the, oh, what is it? The shackle flip kit that I ordered. In the interest of saving time, I found this supposedly direct fit one from Bronco Graveyard. So what's supposed to be nice is these 4 bolt holes locate off the factory shackle hanger holes. So hopefully this thing is literally just a bolt on and put the shackle in it kind of thing. Looks like 3/8 plate at the chassis, and then everything else looks like 1/4 inch. Seems well made, kind of a triple gusset thing, so that's cool. Comes with hardware, you can bolt it to the chassis or weld it on. The price on these wasn't all that bad, but the bummer is they're in Michigan, and shipping something that weighs, I don't know how many pounds, 20 pounds the box says. I think shipping was like 50 bucks, which was like 25% of the cost. So kind of a bummer. So I cruised their website to see what else I could get while I was there. And presuming that's what's in this taped together cardboard. This is gonna be sweet because it needs that. All the OBS Fords that came with the Power Stroke had that logo, like Sideswipe there, so I think this will be a nice finishing touch, but I'll save that for later when we're stickering this thing up. So now to put these somewhere where I don't lose them for the next couple weeks. All right, let's get that axle out of the truck. I could actually use your muscle if you can spare some.
Yep. You're gonna want me to wear shoes right now. So. Can I get away with flip-flops?
Yep. Part of my struggle is getting my wife and daughters to wear any type of footwear when they come in the garage or the carport, because it's filthy out here, there's metal shavings. They just don't seem to learn. I don't know. Before I can put the truss on, I gotta weld the axle tubes into the diff housing. So from the factory, these are pressed in and then just these plug welds in a couple spots around the housing. But because it's gonna see a lot more stress, I wanna weld the tubes to the housing. But to do that, I'm welding steel to the cast steel, and I need to preheat it. So I shouldn't be teaching anybody how to TIG weld, but what I've been learning so far is that you've got this giant fillet here that's like 3/8 of an inch. So you're not gonna get it in one pass. So trying to make like a root pass where I just put some wire in and bridge it together, and then I'm gonna come back through and do a cover pass where I try to catch this last little bit of lip here and really like flow it all out. So I'm gonna go all the way around it once and then come back around it again a second time. It's gonna get a little weird with these plug welds that I cut halfway into. Then also I'm using 309 stainless rod because the internet said that when you have dissimilar metals and you don't know what to use, just use 309. It seems to be working so far. It's called a tungsten grinder, but it's basically a Dremel with like a, I don't know, a diamond wheel or something on it. Because you need your tungsten, the thing I'm spinning. What the lightning jumps off of on the TIG welder. You need it sharp. It's basically sharpening the lightning pencil.
Okay.
And then dropping it.
Alright, how's your TIG welder?
It's good. The AC side of it died a while ago, I guess.
How about happened?
I don't know. Quit working when I was building a race car.
Okay.
But the DC side for steel seems to be working.
Wait, what does the AC do?
Well, aluminum.
They just call it AL then.
Because it's referring to the voltage, alternating current.
Oh, alright.
This is the exact intersection on my truck that broke and started to pull apart on the Rubicon.
So you're welding it?
Which I did on my truck, but with MIG welder. That's all I had 6 years ago.
Okay. Just to make it stronger?
Huh?
To make it stronger?
Hopefully.
What direction are you going in? So I know where to stand.
To you.
I'm gonna move.
Don't hit the wire.
I'm gonna move. Which direction are you going?
Coming at you.
Oh my gosh. How are you doing?
I'm shaky.
Shaky?
I've either,
You need a snack?
I'm not sure if I've had not enough beer or too much beer.
This is a momentous moment in our marriage, honey.
Mark this day down.
Mark this day down. I anticipated Kevin's need and got him this.
I held out my hand and she was holding the right tool.
You're welcome.
18 years. I've finished welding around the tubes. Not the best work, but I think it'll get it done. Some of the welds are better than others. There's a little bit of porosity. Some of the cast, I don't know if it was dirty or what, but anyway, I think that's well attached. Just heated it up one more time with the weed burner for like a post heat. I haven't seen any cracks yet, so I'm happy about that. So I'm gonna throw a welding blanket over it, and then I'll show you guys something else. Some of you may have seen my Starlink mini videos. I made 2 of them. And when I got my Starlink mini, my buddy Andrew and I talked about ways to make it better. But Andrew took it 10 steps forward. So while he was developing this, I went with just the case, holding the dish and the cord. But I realized on the Rubicon that I was competing for battery voltage in the truck. So trying to keep the fridge plugged in, run the Starlink, charge my phone, charge camera batteries. So Andrew went ahead and packaged lithium iron phosphate batteries inside of this box, and it holds the dish, shoots it through the lid of the Starbat. So all you have to do to run this thing is open it, turn it on, close it, and now it'll actually find satellites through the lid of the box. 24-hour runtime, pretty incredible. So I'm gonna do a lot of testing with this thing, do some temperature testing in the direct sunlight. I'm gonna get battery life on it. We're gonna take it on our trip with us to Arizona and see how this thing performs. But I'm gonna put, Andrew's doing a Kickstarter for this product, so I'm gonna put a link to his website in the description below. So if you wanna check this thing out, go ahead and give it a look. There is an introductory price, and he is putting up a code for my viewers. So if you want to help me out and help out the channel, check out the link in the description below. Consider getting yourself a star bat. It's been in the blanket for a bit now. While it's still warm, I honestly want to keep working and keep welding to it. So I've got the truss here. I don't know how well it's going to fit. If I'm going to have to do a lot of trimming, a little bit. So I'm going to pull the blanket and we'll get started fitting it up. And then I'm going to try and weld it really, really slow. I don't have an I-beam with a bottle jack and chains and stuff to like chain the axle down and put some pre-tension in it. And if you put a truss on top and then you just weld it, it will absolutely smile the axle. Ask me how I know. Spidey. How's he just been in there? He's pissed. He's pissed. How you done?
So we're gonna torch it.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. It was like that scene from Arachnophobia. What's that guy's name?
I haven't seen that movie in so long. How's that fit?
It's getting better. Little by little. Sitting here, sitting there, sitting everywhere. But what's not going to be fun is it would be nice if it fit tighter, because that's a big gap to fill with the TIG welder. So I could keep profiling the bottom to get it to just keep dropping on there. I still haven't decided if I'm going to weld it to the cast section. I had really good luck with the TIG welder welding the tubes on, so I might give it a go. But I've got it laying flat everywhere else, so the only thing I'm going to do is probably, I mean, it can kind of fit anywhere in a range here, but I'd like to get it on the same plane as the diff cover flange here, so I'll probably put a magnet on the back side and then angle finder it to the same, or just at least make it look good to the eye. So once I get it matched up to the diff cover flange angle, I think I'll heat the whole thing up and then start tack welding it on. I have a couple of these little digital angle finder level things. They're way better. I don't know how I used to do anything with a bubble level or even like an analog style one. Okay, 78.4. 78.6. I would say that's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna warm it up. So I'm gonna put a link to this little guy in the description below. I've also just set up, it'll take you to my Amazon storefront, which I just set up. If you buy anything off my Amazon storefront, I get like a little 4% commission, so helps all this stay alive. I'm gonna try and do more of that in the future. Just share my favorite tools. Sound like a tree just fell. I'm gonna create different idea lists on my storefront for favorite tools, favorite camping gear, favorite car accessories, stuff like that. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think. All right, GoPro keeps dying, so it's plugged in, so I'm not gonna walk you over there right now. But it's got those sections between kind of the relief cuts to weld. So what I'm gonna do is I've got it tacked everywhere. I'm gonna do this real slow and try not to put any heat in it and kind of bend the axle, because that'd be bad.
All right, the last time I saw you, you were welding. And he's still welding.
Still welding.
You're still welding.
I had some porosity issues on the backside, so I've been chasing those. I got that pretty good, but I still can't weld that. Some super force up here. Working on it.
You got that. You got all that. Are you filling in like?
No, those are, I guess, just drains or something. It's about 11:30. I've been welding the whole day. Some went really good, some didn't go so good. I didn't video all of it because nobody wants to watch that much welding. I'll spin you around, show you what I got, what I'm happy with, what I'm not, and I'm gonna wrap this thing up in a blanket and come back to it next day off. So the thing I just did was I threw some stainless rod in here, and I'm mostly happy with that. If I come home and it cracks, then I'm not happy with it. These welds on the front of the truss I can live with. I'm still learning a lot, and you know, I don't know, we'll see. I threw some in here too. That's a pretty big void, so I don't know if those are gonna work or crack or what, but. And then this is where the hole was for the leaf spring pad, so I cut a little scrap out, welded in there, and then I'll grind all this flush. What really gave me hell was I had some porosity on the top here, and I'm not really sure why. I thought it was all the same cleanliness, but clearly it wasn't. So I kept trying to like cook it out or boil it out. Yeah, that didn't work. So I'm gonna grind this out, and I'll probably end up MIG welding it, but I'll just put a carbide burr in there and just grind myself a new trough to weld up. Both sides did that. So not real happy with that, like I said. Yeah, backsides, it's okay. It's not great. I mean, there's a lot of undercut. I'm sure a real TIG welder would hate it, but I'm learning. This is a good one to learn on. So like I said, I'm gonna wrap this thing up in a blanket, welding blanket, and come back to it in a couple days. All right, let's flash to the future here. 7.3 Bronco build, day 14. Let's talk about goals for the day. Day 13, I welded on this axle a bunch and then wrapped it in a blanket. So this morning I'm gonna unwrap it and we'll see if any of the welds are cracked or if it still looks good. My dad's gonna come over after lunch, and I got new weather stripping for the tailgate glass, so my dad's gonna get that installed for me. Probably time to start making a list of stuff to do. I've got the shackle flip kit. Previous footage, you guys saw me experiment with just flipping the factory shackles over. But the problem with doing that is you take the mounting point that was low and you move it high, so you really don't gain any lift, even though you switch it from a tension shackle to a compression shackle. So I got the Bronco Graveyard ones that'll move essentially this point down below the frame. So their website says it'll net like 4 inches of lift. I don't know, I took some measurements before I did it, so see if we can get those on, set the rear back on the ground, and see what we get. Enough talk, let's get started. Okay, now that it's cooled off, I don't see any cracks. Everything else I've done against cast, it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like if you welded steel together and you had a weld fail, it would fail at either end of the toe of the weld. But everything I've ever welded on cast cracks right down the middle. Half of it stays with, you know, each material. So neither of these look broken, that's great. And then the welding I did at the end to the truss to the diff looks good. This was happening right while I was doing it. I don't even know if that's gonna show on camera, but there's a little crack right there in the middle of the weld from there out that way. That was happening right away, right as I was welding. So what I might try today is actually start there and come into my existing weld a little bit and just see if, I don't know, kind of playing with that heat coming the other way, like can smooth that out. Yeah, goals for the day. I'm gonna grind out all that porosity at the ends of the truss that I learned was from my contaminated wire wheel. Lesson learned there. I should probably keep just TIG welding prep wire wheels in the TIG cart and then never mix them up or use them for anything else. When I ordered the wheels for the Bronco from Raceline, I forgot to order lug nuts. Lug nuts just showed up for the Bronco from Raceline. I got their spline drive ones, but the best part about ordering something like this from Raceline is you get a free snack. Not the best tasting peanuts, but they'll work in a pinch. Throw you guys up on the tripod and get to work on the axle. Got it all ground out. I think I ground out all the porosity, tried not to make too big of a mess. So what I'm gonna do this time is, this truss that I bought is MIG welded. So I'm just gonna go ahead, in case it's still dirty down in there at all, I'm just gonna go ahead and MIG weld this on both sides and then I can move on. You guys okay? It was a hard fall. That looks much better. Kind of matches the truss too a little bit. One of the reasons I really want to get a new welder is this one's awesome and would probably outlive all of us, but no matter what the wire speed setting is, everybody's like, oh, if it's getting a lot of spatter, just turn the wire speed down. It doesn't matter. I've tried every single setting possible, gas flow, everything. This machine's just a little bit that way. I would like to replace the gun, the entire gun and liner assembly. If you guys think that would help, let me know. I love this thing, but it's big, it's hard to move around, and I just think a newer inverter style machine would be pretty sweet. But no, I won't ever get rid of it. This thing will survive the apocalypse. Weld the other side and then move on to the next project. Okay, Dad's back for more glutton for punishment. We got the old, absolutely wrecked weather stripping out. Found a little broken weld over here. Just kind of welding that back up. Now he's gonna put the new weather stripping in, and then hopefully the window goes up and down without getting all scratched up. Went ahead, that little patch plate that I welded in where the leaf spring pad cutout was, I got that mostly blended in. I'm gonna touch it up right there. I think it's just covered in.
Clean your eyeball.
Maybe get like ones for welding and ones for...
Can't blame it on me this time. Can't be like your makeup's all over it.
My dad replaced the weather stripping. This is what was against the window.
I wonder why the window went up and down so easy.
It's kind of like a breakaway style one. But yeah, now it's so tight on the glass, the window doesn't want to go up or down. But I'll just leave it like that for a few days and let it stretch the rubber out. How's chicken cooping going?
We're doing a major overhaul. But,
We lost a chicken this morning. What are we down to now?
and then there were 5.
5? Would we start with 8? So who have we lost?
Poppy,
Poppy
Cinnamon,
and
Marty.
Marty. Okay, rest there. Chicken souls. But
Fragile Ladies.
buried in the yard. Is that a prayer? It's off to chicken heaven. Okay, back to work.
What have you been doing?
Well,
I've been doing chicken stuff.
I ground out my horribly porous welds right here and replaced them with very spattery MIG welds.
Okay, it's not holy anymore.
It's not holy. And then I put that patch plate in here. I've been kind of blending that in so that when I paint it, it looks good. But now I think I need to run the welder, maybe no filler, but just torch and see if I can get some swirlies back in there. Technical term.
Swirlies?
Swirlies. Now I think I'll cut the WFO out, patch that in.
And why are you covering that?
I don't.
Because of the company.
Yeah, their product seems fine.
But that's a place for dirt and
But that's a place for debris to get
attach.
into the truss, which I don't like. Not a big like logos on parts fan, so we're gonna make that go away.
All right, Dennis, what's your next project?
Right now I'm refreshing. You gotta keep hydrated.
It's a warm day,
It's the water.
so Kevin stays hydrated.
I think I mentioned earlier the flipping the factory shackle. Come on down here. So all I did was take the factory bracket and flip it over, but that puts the mounting location way too high to actually get some lift. So these ones from Bronco Graveyard will actually move that all the way down here and actually get me lift. Luckily I've learned you never fully weld anything, so I just tack welded these. So I'm gonna cut these off right now, and then we should be able to clean these up a little bit, get whatever shipping oils on them off, bolt them up, and put this thing back down on its weight. I got a video. 4.5 inch cutoff wheels are too small, and the 7 inches are too big and don't have a speed rating, so it seems too dangerous. But these 6-inch discs have a max RPM of 10,200, and the grinder spins 11,000, so that's only 800 RPM off. I think that's safe enough. Get yourself the Black Hawk, available exclusively at Target.
Safety second.
I bought a pack of these. I'm gonna put this in my Amazon storefront. I'll put a link in the description below. 6-inch cutoff disc for the win. I did measure fender lip to ground before I started, and it was 36, and now with the shackle flip it's 40, so I got 4 inches of lift for 200 bucks. So that to me that seems great, because these look pretty well made, well gusseted, all that. They come with the hardware. 2 of the bolts are going to be impossible to get nuts on, so I'll probably weld them to the frame, honestly. But if I tried to make those brackets, number one, I don't even have the steel. If I did, it would take me all day. So for 200 bucks, that's a win. We got 4 inches of lift out of the rear.
50 bucks an inch?
So 50 bucks an inch, not bad. So with a 37-inch tire, that's gonna look pretty killer. What we're missing is these factory pinion shims, and we left them out because the U-bolts I had on Sideswipe weren't long enough to get them in. But we gotta get the pinion shims in here. That way the pinion is pointed directly at the T-case flange. Because right now it looks like it's a little bit low. This might be a better view. So that pinion needs to point directly. Man, it is really close right now. I feel like that pinion shim might be too much. Let's see if we can put like a straight edge on that. So I'm gonna run a double cardan drive shaft here. This whole thing, I mean, this is 26 inches. Run a double cardan here. So instead of with a traditional drive shaft that's just U-joint, U-joint, where you would want the angles to cancel each other out, this is too short and too steep, too big of a vertical offset to do that. So we're going to run a double cardan, meaning the pinion needs to point directly, like gun sight, at the output, and it's only that far off right now. So if I flush this straight edge on the yoke, it hits just below center. Those factory shims are gonna be way too big. I think we go with this for now. You know what we could try?
Keep going.
Yeah, so I'm gonna zero this.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yep. Okay. So it's like 2.7. Here, let me leave that right there. Let me measure these factory shims. Maybe they're not as many as they look like. Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, they're a 8-degree shim.
Oh shit.
So that would go way too far. The factory Bronco shim measures 8 degrees, and I'm only 2.5 degrees low on pinion angle. So obviously putting this in would be way too much. Also measured for a drive shaft, so I'll start doing some research on that. All right, we'll probably put it back up in the air, take the wheels off, and figure out how to put those shackle mounts on for good, since we know that's gonna work. My dad's got the brackets bolted up. We had to take them off so I could prep the frame. There's some really weird coating on these Ford frames that like a wire wheel just clogs up with. So I ended up just using a cutoff wheel, kind of laid real flat to get through it. But we got the back bolts in, snugged up. C-clamp holding the front. These two, because of the fuel tank, are pretty much impossible to get nuts on. So gonna do the right thing and just weld the front of this bracket, because why not?
Let's get an update. I am now showered because it was covered in chicken. Yeah. But it's clean, it's done. Whatever disease we're fighting is hopefully out. Okay, so new brackets are on. Back to Bluey.
Got my template for my patch panel. So go trace this out on some steel. Cut it out on my Dual bandsaw. Lay it in there. Hold it up with a magnet. Get it flush. Weld it in. Grind it down.
No dirt.
No dirt. No logos. No flames. No names.
Okay. So
On the car.
Oh.
That was when they paint it. You know, like.
Because you used to have a rule like
Right, no flames,
naming
no
at
names.
all.
But that was like the mud bog trucks that would say like Hell's Fury, or you know, or
So you can call it Bluey, but you just can't
call it something. You can't write it on it.
Got it.
Okay, let's go find some 1/4-inch steel.
Okay.
Get out of there. Got it. I got tired of playing with this.
All right. So what's your job over here?
I can put this together.
Okay.
Then we're gonna put the wheels on, get it on its own weight, and we can start tightening all the components.
Well, that's exciting.
Sort of. They've been off and on so many times, yeah.
We do a lot of things on jack stands, so you know, as soon as something comes off a jack stand, it's like, hey.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That thing makes it look very easy
Awesome.
and smooth.
Compared to the one I had before, that I still have actually.
Of course.
Dual.
It does all.
Look, it even has a speed setting for asbestos. In case you want to cut asbestos. Love it. Next week's video, we should have all the rough stuff fabrication parts to build the front suspension. I'll have the front axle all welded up. Man, it's really gonna start to look like something next week. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment. Let's boost this thing up in the algorithm. And hey, share it with somebody. If you think somebody would like this content, like this channel, like these videos, send it on over and say, check it out. And one more thing, if you're new to the channel, go back, look at some old videos, see the history of Bluey. when my wife and I bought it sight unseen, flew to Alabama and drove it 2,800 miles home to California. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.